In critical fields like pharmaceuticals, just fixing a problem is really only half the battle. The real challenge, making sure that problem stays fixed for good. Today, we're diving into a process that's designed to do exactly that. It's called CAPA, and it's the absolute key to solving problems permanently. So, just think about this for a second. You've just handled a crisis, right? You fixed a nonconformance, you corrected an error, the fire's out. But the real question, the one that truly separates the good quality systems from the great ones, is this. How do you guarantee that same fire isn't going to flare up again next week, or next month, or even next year? And that very question leads us right to CAPA. Now, CAPA stands for Corrective Action and Preventive Action. It's a formal system built to do two things. First, fix what's broken right now, and second, change the system so it can't break in the same way ever again. Think of it like a 1-2 punch against any problem that comes your way. To really get a handle on CAPA, we've got to break it apart. The key is understanding the difference between its two core actions. That means they sound similar, but they actually operate on totally different timelines. Okay, first up, we've got corrective action. This part of the process is all about answering a very immediate, very practical question. A problem has happened, so what are we going to do about it right now? So, corrective action is all about reacting. It's the set of steps you take to contain and resolve an issue that's staring you right in the face. Honestly, you can think of it as the emergency response team for a quality issue. Let's make this real. Say a product batch is faulty. Well, reworking it, or maybe even rejecting the whole thing, that's a corrective action. Or maybe a confusing procedure led to the mistake, so you rewrite that specific document. If a person made an error, you retrain them. See? Each step directly corrects the immediate fallout from the problem. But once that fire is out, CAPA pushes you to ask a much deeper, more strategic question. And this is where preventative action comes into play. It asks, how do we rebuild the system so this kind of fire can't even start in the first place? Preventative action is at its core proactive. It's not about fixing the one batch that went wrong. It's about fixing the system that allowed that batch to go wrong. The whole goal here is to completely eliminate the root cause. And here, the focus just shifts dramatically. Instead of retraining just one person, you improve the entire training system. Instead of just tweaking one procedure, you add brand new checks and controls to the whole process. This is all about fortifying the system to stop similar issues before they even begin. So to put it simply, corrective action is reactive. It fixes the now. Preventive action is proactive. It secures the future. I love this analogy. One is like emergency room triage, while the other is the vaccine that prevents the disease from ever coming back. Okay, so how do you actually develop that effective vaccine for your process? Well, it all hinges on one absolutely critical element, digging all the way down to the root cause. This right here is the golden rule of CAPA. An effective plan, especially that all-important preventive part, is completely dependent on getting the root cause analysis right. You have to find out what really went wrong at the deepest possible level. Because if you get the root cause wrong, your entire CAPA is, frankly, a waste of time. You'll just be fixing symptoms, not the actual disease. And that is a guarantee that the problem will eventually come back. All right, so let's get practical. What does a good, strong CAPA actually look like? Let's break down the essential components, kind of like a blueprint for getting it right every time. A truly rock-solid CAPA has these 5 hallmarks. 1, it's got to be written so clearly that anyone can understand what to do. 2, it has to be directly linked to that root cause we just talked about. 3, it needs an owner, a specific person responsible for getting it done. 4, it needs a deadline. And finally, and this is the one people miss all the time, you have to go back later and actually verify that it worked. Now, in theory, this all sounds great. But in the real world, during audits and inspections, certain failures pop up again and again and again. So let's look at what goes wrong and kind of recenter on the true purpose of all this work. Auditors find this stuff all the time. CAPAs that are way past their due date, actions that have literally nothing to do with the root cause, and a total lack of that crucial effectiveness check. But the biggest red flag of all? Finding the exact same problem happening all over again after the CAPA was supposedly closed. And that brings us to what might be the single most important point of this whole discussion. A CAPA is not a bureaucratic exercise. It's not about paperwork. Its purpose is not to check a box or close a file. The entire point is to kill the problem permanently. And when you really embrace that philosophy, when your organization builds a truly strong CAPA system, wow, the benefits are just enormous. This isn't just about passing an audit, it's about fundamentally improving your entire operation from the ground up. So what's the payoff? Well, for starters, you'll just see fewer problems, fewer deviations, which means way less time spent fighting fires. Your overall compliance with regulations naturally gets better. And over time, you built this incredible reputation for quality and reliability, which leads to increased trust from regulatory bodies. And believe me, that is an invaluable asset to have. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When you look at how problems are solved where you work, what do you see? Do you see a system that's just designed for closing documents? Or do you see one that's truly built for ending problems for good? How strong is your organization's CAPA process?